Right, and Robin's joining us now. Okay, so we're now, this is going well, isn't it? We're now good to go. Right. It's gone suspiciously quiet. Is everyone with us still?
Yeah.
Right.
Just on mute.
Okay. Right. What I want to do is, as a setup, is just set the context for brands as we move forward, and also why we do what we do, why it's important that we do what we do. This is some research that's almost 20 years old. It's over 20 years old now, and it was done in the US and across Europe in terms of how people see brands in a range of categories. And the tragic truth was, for all the work that we do in all but two categories, most people cannot differentiate one brand from the next, increasingly becoming the same, which kind of identifies and highlights the importance of what we do in terms of how, on behalf of our clients, we begin to set them apart. Perhaps more alarming is have us do this research every year, and it talks about how meaningful brands are in people's lives, and actually almost three quarters of people in almost 80% of brands wouldn't care if they disappeared overnight. So they're becoming increasingly the same. This sense of caring about brands is becoming less so, which kind of paints a pretty bleak backdrop for the work that we do, or perhaps more importantly, demonstrates just how important it is, the work that we do and why we do what we do. And the reason that people are doing this is about short-termism. I mean, Jason and I talk a lot about how you actually build long-term brand value, but also deliver on short-term rewards. And the problem is that the short-term rewards in terms of driving revenue, driving sales, is now overwhelming brand building. This is something you guys will all know too well. When we started working with Charles Tyrrell, all they were interested in was selling stuff, selling as much stuff as they possibly could for the least price possible. And because of that, what's happening is this notion of being able to build a brand is being overwhelmed by the price. So you're not really having a brand relationship. What you're doing is you're having a relationship with a price, and therefore in doing that, you start to dilute the whole notion of your relationship with a brand. And clearly that's something that from a loyalty point of view is something that we look to address in the way we go about things. And this is something we took from the Harvard Business Review, in that without a clear differentiating idea attached to a brand, all you're left with is price. And this starts to set up the 3D's in terms of differentiation, in terms of distinction, and in terms of dramatizing that distinction, which we're going to go on to in the other modules. So the net is that when we look at brands, increasingly the same, people aren't really caring. All we're actually doing is selling on price, and therefore that whole reason for brand being is being diluted. And this is something that I found earlier. It's not that people don't value brands. And I'll say it in the next chart in a moment. Is that we've forgotten how to make people value brands. And this is the point. I think you all know that purpose sits at the heart of everything we do. And this is something that we took from a Unilever document in 2019, is that actually when we think about the brand, it's not about price. It's not just about selling things. It's about reassuring them that, let me get that call in. It's about reassuring them that their choice is a contribution towards achieving desires and aspirations. And I think a lot of companies have forgotten that along the way. I think a lot of people have forgotten the role that people play in people's lives. And I think this is the point I was trying to make earlier, which is it's not that people don't love brands. It's just that we've forgotten how to love brands. And I say we, not BB Perfect Storm by any stretch. The industry has forgotten how to love brands. And I think that's how we go about our business in our own unique way. So when we, when we think about how we go about it, the first thing we do strategically is think about differentiation, is think about how we are more than just price. If you look at the work that we did on Charles Tyrwhitt, from when we picked up the client to the work we're doing now, you'll see the value that we have added to that brand. So it's no longer about price, it's about Charles Tyrwhitt, it's about his style, it's about his class, it's about his tail, it's about his precision, it's about doing things properly. And then we use all the visual shorthands to bring that to life, which we'll talk about. And I know Lou has got a wonderful presentation with Carl about branding, and then how we do the storytelling around that. So that's why we do what we do. And I think we just wanted to set that up, that in a world where people aren't valuing brands like they used to, it's beholden on us to make sure that we know how to do it properly. And we do so, and we do it with purpose, front and centre. This is an interesting piece of work that came out of Edelman. And I know a lot of people who I work with daily see me wheel this out every week. But it's incredible, actually, that what a brand believes in is 3 times more important than what it actually does. I mean, think about that. Think about any industry, from cars to soft drinks. What a brand believes in is more important than the product itself. So this is how we now start to differentiate and build brands with purpose front and centre. And you'll hear us talking a lot when we go to clients about the importance of our why. Why do you do what you do? Because that's more important, 3 times more important than what you actually do. And then what we do is then look to build that from the inside out. So all the work you'll see us doing, from Etihad to Investec to Severn Trent, it's all about taking this sense of why do you do what you do? It's our water. Let's do right by it. We then build that from the inside out. So we build the whole culture around it. We build communications around it. We measure progress against that. So that's kind of why we do what we do, because people want brands to help, but at the moment brands aren't helping them. So what I want to do now is focus a little bit more on this particular subject area. Back off. I worked on all those brands at that time. That's where I started. So what I want to do for those, I can't see you. This is really annoying. I want to be able to see you all, see if your eyes are closed. Let me put this on. So what I want to do now is I'm going to do a little exercise, and I do want to see. Bear with me, kids. What I want you to do is close your eyes. And what I want you to do, and empty your minds, clear your minds completely. Ben, that'll be a lot easier for you than most. But clear your eyes, clear your mind, and I want you to imagine you're stood at the beginning of a corridor, a long white corridor that you can't see the end of. It's just perfectly lit, and you start walking down this corridor, and there's no stress, there's no hassle. It's all lovely and Friday-ish, and you come across a door on your right, and written on that door are the words Coca-Cola. And I want you to go through that door, and I want you to have a look around. All of a sudden now you're in the world of Coca-Cola. I want you to think about what you can see, who you can see, what type of people are in this room, where are you, what time of day is it, what's the mood like, how do you feel in this particular room, what's the energy like, where is it? Is it here, is it somewhere else, can you name it, what kind of era is it? Just really have a good look around this room, this world, which is the world of Coca-Cola. In a few seconds time I'm going to ask you to kind of come out of this room, but I want you to have a really, really good look around and capture everything that you feel and see and touch and smell, which is all about Coca-Cola. Okay? I want you to now turn around, walk back to the door, and come back out of the world of Coca-Cola. Now you're back in the corridor, and you carry on walking down. And as you walk down, still peachy keen, happy as you could be. And this time you see a room which has got Nike written on it. And likewise, you open the door and you go into the world of Nike. And let's go through the same experience again. Let's look around. Who's in the room? Who's in the world? What's the world you've walked into? What are they doing? How old are the people? What's the energy like? What's the vibe like? How do you feel in this room? Is anybody you know in there? Are there things that make you feel good? Are there things that make you feel anxious? Just really, really soak up. Can you hear anything? Is there any music? Is there any music in this room, in this world? If there is, what type of music is it? And again, we're going to come out again and do one more. So this time, turn around, come back out, and you're back into the corridor. Close the door behind you, and you carry on walking. And you're going to go into one more room. And this room is the room that's called, written on the door, is BMW. So we open the door, and in we go. Again, same thing. Look around the world of BMW. Capture it. How does it make you feel? What can you hear? Music, sounds, smells, people. Again, think about how you feel about being in this room. Whether it's a room you're comfortable about being in, is it a room that you would rather not be in? Think about it in relative to the Coca-Cola room and the Nike room. How does it feel to be in these rooms? Okay, one last look around and come back out, close the door behind you, and we're done. Can I ask you all to unmute now? So, what I'm interested in is what you thought, what you felt. Who wants to go first on? Just tell me, when you went into the Coca-Cola room, what things did you see? What things did you feel?
You know that old Coca-Cola ad, that Open Up Happiness, and they've got the machine, and you go in the machine, and then there's all these little creatures which are like jumping around. The energy is high. They're all thrown about and making the Coca-Cola. When I go in, I'd imagine like stuff flying over my head. All these little creatures are like building this like Coca-Cola thing for me. And then there's a person in like summer clothes. They grab the bottle and throw it at me, and I get like this cold Coca-Cola that like just like that calming moment in my hand after all the chaos. And then I walk out with my Coca-Cola bottle. That's what I'd imagine happening.
That's amazing. I mean, perfect. I mean, things flying at you like things that people chuck at you. Reminds you of that battery that you took my head off in the week. But that was wonderful.
I smashed the bottle, Tony, and guess what?
Hang on, can I mute? Was it? Did you still notice a Coca-Cola bottle set?
I still knew it was a Coca-Cola bottle, yeah.
Is that because it is a smashable brand?
Smash, yeah, exactly.
What else again? What do people feel in the room? What kind of vibe did they feel?
Liberated, free.
Huh?
Liberated, free.
Yeah,
Freedom.
free.
Joy.
Cal,
Joy,
what was that? Cal, come on, Cal, join in. You've been rested.
like joyfulness, like groups of people having fun together.
No, that's just where you are. That's just where you are. You're in. Can I mute you? Who's annoying?
There were loads of people in having fun, and they were a bit annoying. To be honest.
I felt the same. Got annoyed in there.
Why were they annoying? Because they were happy.
Yeah.
They were like fake happy, bubbles everywhere, lots of red, kids singing, stuff like that.
Right.
I
Can you
just
see
kept
what
neon
are they singing,
signs.
Carl? What are they singing? What are they singing? What
They were singing that song, you know. I'd like to teach the world to sing.
For anyone who doesn't know that was released in 1968.
Yeah.
What other?
The one good thing I had was it made me think of the old Coca-Cola adverts with the really good-looking men. I was quite happy with that. There was a lot of them in the room.
That's not Coca-Cola, Joe. That's you just drifting off for a second, wasn't it?
Wasn't that Pepsi? That was
No,
Pepsi.
that's Diet Coke. The Diet Coke. You all remember the Diet Coke ads?
I thought that objectified men personally.
Oh, they did.
I was deeply affronted. I was hashtagging Me Too everywhere. Good. So we got a sense of the energy though. We got a sense of the vibe in this room, right? What about when we went into the Nike room?
Hip hop.
Yeah, hip hop.
Yeah.
Go on.
A
Yeah.
lot of music.
Yeah,
There's what music?
Yeah, a lot of music I didn't like.
Yeah.
I really didn't like.
I mean, this is quite incredible. We got Coca-Cola, a brand that's built on happiness, and we're going, I didn't like that. And Nike, I didn't like them either. They're all kicks in there. But carry on. But tell me about the Nike world. Tell me about it.
Michael Jordan was in there, and Serena and Venus Williams, and yeah, a bit of sort of 90s old school hip hop. Just
Okay.
like everyone sort of like kicking back before either going onto the courts. It was very, very relaxed, but like powerful sports people for me.
Did you like it? Did you you feel good?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like a groupie.
Wow. This was meant to be a session about branding. It's actually becoming a cathartic outpouring, isn't it? Okay.
Something that you said about the differentiation. I thought you said who is there, and I imagine Usain Bolt. And
Yeah.
then I realized that Bolt was from Puma, I think, wasn't Nike.
Yeah.
But all of the setting was similar.
But that's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it? Because Usain Bolt's a winner and an icon.
Yeah.
And you know, a character, and therefore, I mean, this is in some way we haven't set this up, but that's a wonderful setup. Is the power of a brand, because you're right. Who's Puma? But because of these values of winning, because these values have been a character and success, all of a sudden he's a Nike character.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're getting at when we think about how, because this is what the reason we do this exercise is because this is what we do. We build worlds. You know, there's a brand. I worked at Coca-Cola. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. It's my first job at university, which that in itself should be a surprise to people that went to university. But it's a brown fizzy drink, and yet how wonderfully articulate are we to be able to create a world around which involves music, it involves annoying music, it would appear. And likewise with Nike, it's you know, it's got an energy and a pace, which is, they're just sneakers. They just make kit, they just make stuff. And yet we're able to bring this world to life. Let's go into BMW and the Germans. Oh, I'm leading the witness a little bit. What did you see what is the German rule? Did you see any, what was the BMW room like?
I hated it.
Yeah, me too. It's Germans.
Posh people.
It was what?
Posh people everywhere. Champagne everywhere.
Shit, man. There's some real insights coming out of you like on this call, actually. And we got Joe drifting off into thinking about men, and likewise Lauren and Leah's going, yeah, no, it's just joke. So Carol, tell me about the BMW room. What kind of people are in there?
Men in suits.
Yeah, suits.
The suits. Anything else? But what was good about the BMW room? Was there anything we go, right, okay, there was something you go, I got a sense of something about them which I admire or recognise or feel.
It was very well lit.
Yeah, that's what it was. Very bright white room,
shiny.
Yeah.
Yes. Smell a lot of leather.
Smell of
Joe, I think you should mute yourself actually for the next half an hour or so. I mean, it's way too revealing. So leather, Joe smelled leather. Anything else? What else? Sorry, Nick, I think you were saying something then before I exposed Joe, so to speak. Go on.
Just that lovely smell of a new car, you know, when you that kind of pristine, a little bit too showy, a bit standoffish. It was the least comfortable I felt in any of the three rooms. And I massively noticed the dress code had changed. So we've gone from like fun play in the sun to suits or even worse, smart casual.
But what would you? I totally get that, and I've as you can probably tell, I've done this exercise once or twice before, and the feedback is or the world is consistent. But what do you take from that, Nick? What do you take from this kind of suits and lit and smell of leather? What does that kind of say about BMW?
It makes it feel slightly untouchable. Like there's a potential kind of desire of another world. So I'm not in it. Like I drive a 15-year-old knackered Volvo estate. So I'm not in that world, but there is a weird, a kind of alluring power.
Yeah.
But
aspirational, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? You don't have to like it to understand it or recognise it or aspire to. Do you know what I mean? You go, well, I can see why that's pitched in the way it is. Just generally speaking, how easy was that exercise for you guys to do? Did you struggle with it?
No.
No, it's pretty good, pretty easy.
I remember doing this, and I think Jay's heard me say this. I remember doing this exercise for a tyre brand in Germany, in research groups in Germany. I said, right, I want you to imagine you walk into the world of Goodyear and Michelin. And I remember the feedback to was, but the tyres, how can there be a world? I mean, is there so I'm never doing research groups in Germany again. But the point we're making here is this is what brands are. I mean, sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking it's what's in the can, it's what the shoe's made of, it's what's under the hood, what's under the bonnet. But this is what we buy into. This is what we do, all of us as a collective. Of course, we pay respect to the product. But what we do is build these worlds around them, worlds that people aspire to, they recognise, they want to be identified with, they value. This is what brands are all about. It was. Let me move on to a few. It's funny, bear in mind that there's so many people in our industry, right across the world, all four corners of the globe, who occupy their every day with brands to try and find a nailed down description of what a brand is difficult to find. Can you have you got a big block across your screen?
Yeah,
now?
it's a block.
Yeah. I like looking at you. Oh well, bye. See you in a bit. Bye. Right, you've gone now. What is interesting though is that there are, even though people, and whether you read Kotler or any of the textbooks, that we did at whether we did marketing or whatever at a university, there will be textbooks that say this is a brand, but they vary. I mean, I did some swapping up yesterday on what is a brand, which is way too late in my career to be doing this. But you won't find a nailed down definition of it. But certain things come to the fore which are important. It's about a person's perception. So these things aren't real. These things sit in your head, as we've just done it there. Another one down here, it's a person's gut feeling about a product, a service or organisation. And if you have a look at any company balance sheet, bear in mind that we pay more for brands than we should. I mean, I still find it insane, and I work in the industry, that I'll happily pay £3 for a bottle of Evian, and it's just water. So the power of that brand on a balance sheet is the amount you're prepared to pay for it over and beyond what you should pay. I know it's close to Severn Trent, but it's kind of nuts, isn't it? I can turn on a tap for virtually nothing, and yet I'm prepared to pay £3 for something that's got Evian on it. It's intangible, but it's a brand, and that's what brands are all about. How much can you influence people's mind consistently, globally, that we have a united perception on what a brand is and will pay more for it? And that's what we just did. We went into the mythology and the stories around a brand. Isn't it incredible how, it's incredible in my mind, it's probably not incredible in anyone else's mind. The Pepsi Challenge, one of the most well-known marketing initiatives carried out in the last 20, 30, 40 years, wherever it was. And Pepsi won the Pepsi Challenge hands down, but has come nowhere near usurping Coca-Cola in terms of the brand, because it's not rational. It's more than rational, it's emotional. And that's what brand building is all about. Finding the emotional territory, finding that space that people globally will identify with, recognise, aspire to, stay loyal to, and pay more money for. And that's the world we're in. We all do it. Every single one of us. We build. I remember an old creative director telling me, and I thought he had a lisp. He said to me, we do myth management. And I thought he was saying mismanagement. I was thinking, yeah, I do it really, really well. And he's myth management. And that's what we do. We build mythologies around brands. How are we on time? So I don't want to overrun too much. I used to do this presentation where we have 2 white T-shirts, and you go through the drama and the labelling. Oh look, 100% cotton, and they're the same weight, and they've got double stitching, and they're all made in the same place, or whatever. You know, this one costs $9.99. This one costs $99.99. This one just happens to have the lesser Calvin Klein written on the label. That's what we do. We create worlds, we create mythologies, we create stories around brands that as many people as we want to gravitate to, like moths to a flame, or perhaps flies around shit. I'm not quite sure which metaphor is appropriate right now. Queen, you've still got your headphones on, yeah? Good. That's what we do. We elevate these brands, put worlds around them, and people aspire to. It's a perception. The more people that have that common perception of a brand, the better. The more people have the same gut feeling about a brand, the better. And we all did that. You know, there may be different levels of irritation around the Coca-Cola world, but we're all in the same place. There may have been different levels of happiness around the Nike world, but we're all in the same place. And it's quite funny when people talk about now about different cultures, it's a different world. It's, you know, people have variances. We wrote something. Days and I wrote something for Starbucks, and they're saying, oh, you know, Gen Z are different from Gen. They're not. There wouldn't be such. When you look at the strongest brands for a Gen Z generation, guess what? They're exactly the same as millennials. They're exactly the same as Y and X, and maybe, God forbid, even boomers. No, I don't think Nike were out for boomers. And that's what I mean. You know, we all aspire to the same emotional values that sit around a brand. I can't see you. Are you still with me? I hope you are. And this puts a little bit of pseudoscience behind it, because this is something Harvard Business Review did many years ago, and I've dined out on it for a couple of decades now. And this will make you really interesting when we go out for drinks with people this weekend to talk about the Harvard brand journey and go on. And every brand in the world will sit somewhere on this. You know, take someone like EO. No one even heard of it recently. We created it, so it's unknown. And then you get to know it. And then you go, I know it for good things. Brands tip the balance when they move into emotional territories. When they go, it's things that I care about. So when you care about something, then you feel differently about it. And that's when you move from the rational into the emotional, and you start to build towards this iconic brand status. And what icon brands do is they recognize the importance of emotional relationships with their consumers. They find what the most emotional need is in their category, and they go, well, I'll have that. And of course, once you have an emotional relationship, it's like anything, isn't it? And I will conclude on that at some point at the end of this, is the relationship that people have with brands is the exact same relationship that people have with people. And what I mean by that is, do you look forward to seeing them? Are you excited at the prospect of being with them? Are they going to be there when you need them most? Are they full of shit? Or do you have integrity and authenticity? Because they are your true friends. And I don't want to overstate the role that play in people's lives, but you think about the people that you love most in your life, and then think about what characterizes them. It's exactly the same as brands. We build emotional relationships that are built on integrity. Oh, Queen's just walked out. How embarrassing. You're not enjoying it, Queen, no?
No, I need to pee.
Oh, you need to pee. How embarrassing. Oh, close the door behind you. Fuck's sake. Min, will you be able to edit this for me afterwards? What's... Shame of it. What's also, and we should go back to my point at the very first opening charts, is brands that do this don't have to build their business on price. The strongest brands in the world, when you look at the amount of volume or the amount of product they sell through on promotion, is minimal, because they don't have to, because you'll pay more for them. I forgive those people who I tell this story to many times. When I got married, I went to John Lewis, of course, did for the wedding list, and we went down into the kitchen area, and it was like Smeg fridges. I mean, Smeg, fucking design classic, and I loved it. And the guy said, honestly, they're shit. They're twice the price, That freezer bit will break within 6 months, and you're chucking your money away. Have this one over here. It's massive, it's brilliant, it's half the price, and you'll have it for the next 20 years. And we bought Smeg, of course you did. Insane. But because that's the relationship, whether it's through a design aesthetic, whether it's through a brand, that's what you buy into, and that's what we talk about. So this isn't just about the relationship you have with your consumers, your customers. It's about the business value that these brands offer. You pay more for them, and you keep going back. That's why we do what we do. And it's the same way that Disney, it's not just about movies and theme parks, it's about magic. Coca-Cola, as we talked about, isn't just about a brown fizzy drink, it's about happiness. Nike, just do it. I mean, I think the mantra in Nike is that everyone can be an athlete. I mean, the inspiration that sits around Nike keeps it above everybody else, and has done for 30 odd years. And it expresses itself through its distinctive assets, which I know when we talk about branding. You know, think about these. There's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 words on this page, and think about what those 6 words are shortcuts to. Disney, Coca-Cola, and Nike. That's what distinctiveness is all about. You've built the differentiated world, you've built the emotional territory, you've built it on beliefs and values, and you've got these wonderful little shortcuts, these way in to what it's all about. And perhaps a little bit closer to home. Because we do this may come as a surprise to you, I hope it doesn't. We do this very, very well. I've worked at as Seb and Jay and Corey and their whole team. We've worked at some pretty big agencies. Some of them are the icons of the industry, and I don't think anybody does this as well as we do this. Severn Trent, let's do right by it. Severn Trent Water, our environment, our community, our water. We care, and that's that the whole thing was about caring. Etihad, don't choose any old airline. Choose well. It's about knowing your stuff and making those choices. Ruffles. I mean, one of the most profound transformations I've ever worked in is taking a potato chip that used to wear Ray-Bans and pull models and turn it into a sense of modern attraction. So, we do this. This isn't just theory. This is how we build our brands. So I want to do now. How do we get more time? Is everyone okay for time? I've got. I might run over by 5, but listen, just put it on one of put it on one of Cal's jobs. Wouldn't worry about it. I do. Sorry, Dave. So how do you do this? There's something called a brand ladder. So we don't just come up with these things. There's a piece of logic or a planning tool, if you like. I hate this notion of tool. It's like we're some kind of tradesman, but it's just a little way of helping us do this. And this is a really, really valuable tool in terms of how we can get to these big territory, these big values, the purpose that sits behind this. Because you start off with, well, what does this thing do? What is it? Where does it start off with? What's the product? Where does it come from? What does it do? And then you go, well, what does that enable me? What's just the functional things? What do I get back from that? And you keep laddering up saying, now, how does it make me feel? And we've just done this, by the way. But all I've done here is turn it into a ladder. Each of these things in the room of Coca-Cola, of Nike, of BMW, we've done. But now we put a framework on it and start to use it as a tool. So let's start off with Coca-Cola. Let's do one. Can you all come off mute? I can't see you, but let's come off mute a little bit. Let me see if we can see you. Fuck it, I can't work it out. Let's keep going. So let me start off. The idea here is the higher you can get on this ladder with your brand, the stronger the emotional relationship that you will forge, and the stronger the relationship you can forge, the stronger the brand is, the more impact it has on business. So we want to go as high as we can go without I'll show you one of the minutes always makes you laugh, without going off the scale, because you can go too high. You've got to know when to stop. That's what she said. So let's build from the bottom. Let's start off with Coca-Cola. Now, either make notes yourselves, and by the way, I wrote this. This isn't a piece that I wrote from a textbook. I just did it yesterday while I was avoiding flying batteries. So let's start off with Coca-Cola. It was founded in Atlanta in 1886 by a pharmacist, like Lucas said, like a pharmacist called John Pemberton. Loaded full of sugar, and so rumour has it, and the clue's in the name, there's a little something extra in it as well.
Coke, crop.
Yeah, man. You go, right, okay. Now, what you should also know is, I think I'm right to say, I love how I'm pretending I know this from my general knowledge of American history. I think I'm right in saying that 1886 also represented the year whereby Atlanta introduced prohibition. So backdrop is you can't get any booze, you can't have any fun. This pharmacist comes out and goes, have a little bit of this. It's a soft drink, loaded full of sugar, and a little bit extra for your own joys. What does that, in a rational sense, what does that provide for you? What are you thinking? I'll have a glug of this drink. What do you think the reward is for that in a rational sense? Anyone? Beulah? Anyone?
Well, if you can't drink, then it's like a substitute to that. So using it as a substitute if you're, again, I drink when I want to be with people. So right. I'm going to drink this in a social environment, and I drink that while I'm being social.
Okay. What else does it deliver? What happens from
energy?
Energy.
Refreshment.
Talk about yourself a lot. Yes, refreshment. Energize. Anything else? So that's what did I put in? I can't remember what I wrote now. Oh, there you go. Energize and refresh. So I feel energized and refreshed. Good. because of that. Now, how does that make you feel though? Let's keep laddering up. How does that make you feel emotionally? You go, right, I've had a slug, I feel energized, I feel rest. Emotionally, how does that make you feel? Like what?
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Happy.
Yeah.
If you're energized and refreshed, you're going to feel happy.
Yeah. Anything else?
Switched on, alert.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly. Enthused. I'm always quite excited when I can't remember what I wrote myself. Enthused, positively upbeat. Bring on. That's what you feel. You go, brilliant. Now, what kind of people do you therefore associate with this brand? And we'll do a session later in the program about the difference between a positioning audience and a usage audience. Everyone drinks Coca-Cola, but think about what type of people would you therefore associate with this type of, and I don't mean individuals, I mean the characters. What type of character would you associate with this? Go on.
Fun people.
Yeah.
Optimists.
Optimist. Someone knows where this is going.
Sportsmen and women.
Really? You're so Argentinian that you think sports people get whacked out on whiz and sugar. Okay.
Social people. That's
social people.
Yeah. You can say the life and soul of the party.
Life and soul. What have I written? Life's eternal optimist. The sunny side uppers. Those who can't. But wow, was I drinking yesterday lunchtime? Those who go. So optimist, of course it is. And therefore, what do we believe in? Let's go right to the very, very top as to why this 130-year-old brand is the icon that it is. Because it's not about the stuff at the bottom. It's about, and we saw it earlier, it's about how you live your life happy, optimistic, positive. So in this smashable brand, in this smashable bottle that if you smash against the wall, you still know it's Coca-Cola, there's all this. Incredible, isn't it? And that's what we do. That's what we create. We create this emotional set of beliefs, values, that people go, that's my kind of brand. And I walk around and I carry it for all to see. Let's do one more. Let's do one that we worked on because it's only right. Fur, Corey, Ben, it's a long time since I did this, so forgive the liberties I take on this as we go through. So for those who do or don't know Ruffles, it's a pretty traditional crisp. It's a chip. And spectacular. It's got ridges in it, bigger flavour. Nothing fancy about them whatsoever. But when you've got that kind of baseline big chip, what do you think what do you think it delivers when you got these ridges in and it's big and it's robust? What type of things do you think it builds?
Flavor.
Yeah, flavor. Yeah.
Flavor. What did I write? Oh. Big taste. Big taste. But without the fuss, I was in I think I was ranting about this the other day. I rant about most things. I was in Tesco. And it was it prosecco flavoured crisps and prosecco and what?
Yeah.
What? Do you know what I mean? There's a no nonsense to it. There's a substance to it. There's a gravitas to it, which isn't all this fluffery around prosecco and Malden sea salt and balsamic vinegar. It's just salt vinegar. You know what I mean? It's just salt vinegar, and there's something about that you go, right, cool. It's a crisp as a chip should be. Which when you ladder it, how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel as someone who chooses Ruffles over your Tesco prosecco and mulled wine flavour or whatever it is? How does it make you feel?
Laid back.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Keep going.
Salt of the earth.
The what?
Like the salt of the earth.
Yeah, real.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. It's knowing you're immune from this superficial fluffery. I know my stuff. I'm not going to get fooled. It doesn't taste like prosecco. It's not Malden sea salt. It's not even balsamic vinegar. It's just salt and vinegar, and therefore you have a kind of a status and a character and a self belief because of that. And then you start going ladder up. So what type of people say? Oh, what type of people? All right, okay, a bit twitchy on the buttons. What type of people do you associate with this?
Well, no nonsense, but yeah.
Yeah, smart people who are more and actually, I'm leading the witness a little bit here, but because of that, you go, look, this is who I am. I understand what crisps and chips should be. It's for real. And therefore, isn't that nice when somebody isn't doing the Instagram post? Isn't it nice when people are exactly who they are? They don't try and be something they're not, in the same way that these chips aren't trying to be something they're not. They're for real. And that brings with it a certain set of values that says we're not about being something we're not. We're not about pretending to be something different. We are who we are. And actually, it's what's on the inside that counts. It's who you are. It's what you are. It's not the person you pretend to be. It's not a prosecco, Malden sea salt, balsamic vinegar type of nonsense. And that is seductive. That's attractive. That says to me, I have integrity and I have authenticity. And that's a very, very strong set of values as we move forward. So these are the kind of planning tools that we do. This is I quite enjoyed it. We'll come to the end in a second, guys. So don't worry. We're not far off. This is when I said earlier, you've got to know when to stop. I've always quite enjoyed this because you can, if you're not careful, end up in the same. I remember doing something for Listerine mouthwash. It's a mouthwash, and you go, well, what's it do? It cleans your mouth. Oh, that's really good. It cleans your mouth. Excellent. That's great news. It always makes you feel. It makes you feel confident in speech. It makes you feel like you can talk. Okay, keep going. Next thing you know, we've got Martin Luther King in our ads and a Barack Obama. You go, in fact, we need to stop this. It's Listerine. I mean, we can't put Martin Luther King on a Listerine ad. For a start, he's really expensive and dead. But point being, you've got to know when to stop on these things. So this is one which I've always quite enjoyed. It's a salty and crunchy snack. Well, what's that make you? Oh, it makes you. I'm no longer hungry. That's really, really good. If you're no longer hungry, then it's a good thing to share. Let's all share. That's wonderful. Let's get the family around it. Oh, family, brilliant. We've got family. We've got all these salty snacks. We're gathered around it, sharing family, and therefore we're happiness. We've seen that one before, and therefore because we're all happy. Imagine if everybody had these bowls of salty snacks. Imagine what a peaceful world that would be. You do need to know when to stop. So, just wrapping up now. This much we know, and this is back to us. And hand on heart, I think we do this wonderfully. And it's based on some of these principles. I'm a bit worried actually because I wrote this last night after a glass of wine. I can't remember what I wrote. Brands have been neglected, and that's not to say they don't have value. They have immense value. It's just that the world in which we operate has lost sight of the value that they add, because the want for brands, and perhaps, you know, in a world that is increasingly at odds with each other, in a world which is forever seems to be of great attention for, and this is, we know, Seb and Corey in Matt, it's the kind of the foundation of Maverick. Brands can and should be a force for good. We should remember that, with purpose front and centre. We understand that better than anybody. I say, you know, I've worked with some of the big boys, and strangely enough, like a lot of the other guys, we've sat on top tables. But we do this better than anybody I've ever worked with. And what we set out to do is use our brands to just make the world a little bit better through our talent and our hard work. I quite like talent and toil. I've never used that before. So our ability to do this is second to none. The effort we put behind it is equally second to none. And so what we will always do as a group of people on this call, we'll keep laddering up, we'll keep taking these brands, and I won't bore you with it now, but the Etihad, the initial brief that came from Etihad had nothing to do with brand. It was how do we flog extra leg room for people so we can make more money. And we laddered that right up to actually the choices you make in life. You are the choices you make in life, choose well. So we will always ladder up to a point whereby we're building whole global audiences around this sense of this higher value order proposition, and we'll do that. And we'll do that through everything we do, through our comms, through our design, through everything. And the more that we can get the same consistency that we had when we talked about Coca-Cola, when we talked about Nike, when we talked about MG, when more people feel the same about that, then we are then we're in a good place. What have we written here? And then, of course, what we do, we'll do this in one of the modules. We build whole organisations around it. So it was one thing to do choose well for Etihad. It's quite another thing to get 17,000 cabin crew and pilots to demonstrate that. And that's when we build the model, because that's us. We are the brand and cultural transformation company. I think. How are people on time? I've got a few questions. I'll allow some time for. Let me get you back on screen now. How did you get you all back? Are you even there? Right. I was going to do a bit of a Q&A. Do you know what? I kind of feared that I was going to open up the gallery and no one's going to be there. So, have you? I want to. Let me do a little bit of a Q&A. Only because Lou gave me this and I want to use it. Let me come out.
The Wheel of Shame?
Yeah. Has everyone got anything to go to? Obviously, Ben, I don't mean another agency. I just mean just generally this afternoon. Right. Yeah. He's gonna tell me off later on. I know he's gonna get a message straight after. You picked on me. Oh. Right. Let's do this. So we're gonna do some questions. Here we go. Can you all see my screen? No, you can't, because I've stopped screen sharing. Bear with me, callers. So, screen share. First question. I can't remember what it is. Let me try and remember it. If I just go to it, it might be a lot easier. Question 1 is... what percentage of people really wouldn't care if brands disappeared?
77%.
Oh, will you let me use my wheel of
Oh, Lauren, he's got to use the wheel.
Oh, for God's sake.
He was so fast.
Oh, man. Let me do one more. What's the next question?
What percentage of agencies use that stat?
Tony, maybe you should wheel spin first, then I'll...
I'll wheel spin first. Right, okay. Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Lou. I've got too much going on here. It's too stressful. Right, okay. Zoom. What did you zoom? I can't cope, Lou. Help. It's just too much. Right, here we go. Even if you just do it once, Lou.
Yeah.
Can you see that, yeah?
Yeah, there it is.
Let me get everyone out of the way. I've been playing this all morning. Right, so the question, I can't remember what the question was now. Oh yeah, we said that purpose is very, very important. To what degree is it important?
Did you deliberately leave me off?
Oh, fuck
Oh,
it,
yeah,
don't
I
know,
forgot to
really.
put Daisy in.
I'm not.
Ah, Daisy it is. Go on, Daisy.
I'm not in there.
Listen, don't blame me.
It's my fault, Daisy. I may have forgotten to put your name in.
Oh, we're gonna get the
I'll
chop.
happily
We're gonna get the chop. We're gonna get the chop liver thing.
I'm
going
gonna
on,
be in
aren't we?
trouble now.
Yeah, what am I? Chop liver. So again, can you remember how much more important? How important was purpose?
I can't remember.
Daisy.
Not as important as me, obviously.
Yeah. Right. 3 times more important. Oh, for goodness sake! Remember that?
I was going to say 4, but I.
All right. What's my next question? Okay. What is Nike's emotional territory? Right. Let's go for clicking the wheel of shame. Oh, Fergus, are you on the call?
I don't think he's here.
What?
I don't think Fergus is here.
Oh, this is going well, isn't it? Okay, let's do one more. Oh, shit ending. I was quite enjoying that. Shit ending. That's what she said. Right. Oh no, not shit. This is Lou. We're not doing this for the next one, right? Okay.
Just let me know what names you don't want on there, and I'll make sure they won't be on there.
All right.
You write a brief, Tony.
Oh, Cal, what's the matter with you today? Right. Okay. That's and finally, what does Ruffles believe in? One more. What does Ruffles believe in? And I mean, it's just I don't know what bother is.
It's going to be Seb again, isn't it? Oh no, Jake, there we go. Just find this Jake.
What's it believe in, Jake?
Big, sexy crisp.
There you go. That's close enough. That's so close enough. Right. Let me get rid of
That was right, though, wasn't it?
Oh, they
Close
believe
enough.
that what's inside, it's what's inside that counts.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah,
what's
big,
inside
sexy
it.
crisp.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, guys, thank you for your time. I think. What do we have? We've got an hour, so we probably need to. I need to get better at.
Have you got the outro, Tony? Have you got?
Yes,
the
it's coming up now. It's coming up. Oh,
okay.
I've just shared by mistake. Shit. Really coming
Do you
apart.
need a lesson on using?
I don't need any lessons on anything. Okay. No lessons. I know everything. Let's go back to this.
Never humble.
Right. Which is my emotional territory. That's how I built my brand through humility. Generally, we need feedback on content, on how much you got out of it, how valuable it was. Next time we're going to get a bit crunchier in terms of differentiation. We're going to get into some of the disciplines around segmentation and market orientation. We're going to get into positioning audience versus volume audience, we talked about. So this is what we're going to do next time, and also how we build our brand models. I will always try and keep it interactive. We'll always try and keep it fun and informative, but we'll get into a little bit more of the dark, the art and science of marketing next time. But so much fun.
You porky.
Well done, Johnny.
Sorry. Stop sharing.
That was excellent, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really good.
Right, guys. Hopefully that was okay. I enjoyed writing it. It was a bit of a refresher for me, actually. I enjoyed dodging flying batteries. But hopefully, do feedback. Let me know if that and not just. This isn't just an academic exercise in terms of the principles of brand and marketing. It's how we go about our work. This is what we do. So hopefully everyone should now feel, if they didn't before, a little bit more kind of attached to what we do, because we do it very, very, very well. And I'm not going to get gushy, but I feel kind of honoured and privileged to work with you guys almost every day, not every day. So thanks for your time. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Tony.
Thank you.
Tony.
Tony.